Sick of fighting with your partner? Here are 3 steps to help you break the cycle and start communicating more effectively. So this episode's all about that. It's about communicating with your partner to stop all the fighting and arguments you may be having if it's causing a whole bunch of issues. It's not about fighting better, right? We're not trying to give them tips to fight each other. It's not what this episode's about.
So all you need is a 1 and a 2 and just...
That's not what we're trying to do at all. Totally different. All right.
It works for me. I give 1 warning and that's it.
I'm done. I'm done with you. So this is how we avoid her. These are our 3 tips. She's going to give a tip. I'm going to give a tip. And then we're going to kind of pick a tip together that we think is the best strategy for stopping arguments. Because we notoriously, and I guess to some people maybe annoyingly, never really argue. We don't have...
Tip number 1, wrap up.
What?
Get some gloves.
Oh, God. No. So, yeah, so we're going to give some tips to not have so much conflict because we rarely ever have like big arguments or big fights. Yeah, we bicker. But it's playful banter, kind of like we do on this show. You'll see a lot of playful bickering on this show. But as far as big arguments, we don't do a lot of that. So you want to get us started with your tip? What's your 1 tip you'd give to help stop all these big fights and big arguments that couples get into? How do you kind of alleviate that?
We create a safe space, a good time and place for discussion, somewhere where you're not going to get disrupted. The kids aren't there, but it's also not going to sour the mood. So not like at a dinner table or when you're having dinner with each other. It's supposed to be a date night, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But you can create a safe space in the car where one person's driving, the other one's kind of talking, because you have time between their destinations that you can get some good discussions going, and not just for issues with each other, but also like goals with each other, things you want to do, things you have issues with. And it's also easy to create the dialogue of going back and forth and taking advantage of that drive time that you have, that
absolutely
you're not just sitting there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So definitely creating a safe space where you can kind of hash it out. You're not as emotional as you were when the issue arose. So giving it some time to cool down before you come into that space where y'all have to discuss things. Tip number 2 for helping with having less arguments is stop trying to be right. That is the biggest thing that gets couples tripped up, is either they're trying to be right, the partner's trying to be right, or you have a fear of being wrong. You get defensive. You don't want to be wrong.
What if you're not trying to be right, but you're always right and you know you're right?
Well, then you got to... I know someone like this, and I've had the discussion with them. No, it's not you. No.
I'm always right.
No, it's not you. No,
I'm always right. Yeah.
But sometimes it's easier to just let her think she's right. It's not worth the hassle of trying to get your point across to be right. If the issue should be trying to resolve whatever conflict you have, not trying to be right. So if you approach it from a space...
Right.
If you approach it from a space of where that doesn't matter to you, then having a partner like this who thinks they're always right isn't going to cause all the friction it normally would if I were like, I'm right. No, I'm right. Because then you got a whole back and forth and it escalates.
Then you're just
really
butting
quick.
Heads.
Exactly. So if you approach it with right doesn't matter, I want to better understand what the issue is so we can get past it.
I think you also got to know when to cut a conversation off, because sometimes it does get heated and causes that back and forth tension. And then it's just like, you know what? I want to punch you in the face right now, so I'm going to stop.
But yeah, if you want to be right, you'll keep at it. But if you don't, if it's not as important, you value peace more, definitely walk away, revisit it at a later time. So stop trying to be right all the goddamn time or focused on who is right like it's a prize or a trophy. The goal should be peace and better communication with your partner, especially if the arguing is an issue and that's what you're trying to resolve. Focus on resolving that, not proving your point or trying to be right. Now, the third tip that we kind of both agree on is don't cut each other off. When your partner is opening up...
You do that all the time.
You just cut me off, No. Yeah. I do. I get defensive. That's my flaw. I get defensive because I just have,
You always have a reason for
yeah,
why.
it's a trauma response. I got to be like, no, it wasn't me because of this, or I got to be like, oh, I was right because of this. So I've worked on that, and even now, if she catches me blindsided and it's not a safe space where we created to discuss things, and she's just like, this is an issue, and it's like not in the time and space we normally discuss issues, I have a reason. I have an excuse. I have something to defend and deflect myself. Then I'll walk away and come back like, she's fucking right.
That,
Whole-
that
the whole
happens all the time.
Yeah.
That happens
So
all the time.
it's true. It does, because I'm so just instinctually defensive, and always, I guess, from upbringing, had to be in a constant like, oh, no,
Yeah,
it
we've
wasn't
had to
me.
do it plenty of times where we're discussing something and it's just like, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
And then later on that night, because another safe space is at night, usually in bed before we're going to bed, we'll talk issues
Everybody's
out.
winding down. Yeah.
And we come back and we're like, you know what? You were wrong.
Yeah.
Because,
Or I'll come and I was like, you were right. Not all the way, but you were correct about this. I think this is why I do it. And then you can discuss and dig in and kind of dissect it
Yeah.
together.
I think it also gives us time throughout the day to kind of think over what we were talking about and then come at it in a clearer sense.
Yes, because the goal should never be to hurt your partner. It's always to better understand each other and
Oh,
communicate.
I hurt
so
you real quick.
I know you
It
got
all-
no problem with it.
It only
My
takes
goal
one
is to
black
not
eye.
get hurt.
I've
my
given
goal is
you
to
one
not
black
get hurt.
eye. You've never needed two.
No. Horrible. Can't even reach me. You're all short. So those are our 3 tips to stop arguments in your relationship, to get better communication. They are: stop trying to be right, create a safe time and space to discuss everything, and don't cut each other off. Let your partner get their point out. Try to listen first to everything they're saying, and then you can respond. But those are our 3 tips.
Can I add something?
Yeah, definitely.
Important discussions shouldn't be had around other people either. Because
Bonus
then you
tip.
start getting outside information. So these discussions need to be held in private when it's just you and your partner. Little bits and pieces, even when put out with other friends around and stuff like that, it becomes a mess.
Outside influence will that doesn't fully know the situation can cause issues. That's a bonus tip. Don't air out your dirty laundry. But if you do have any dirty laundry that you want us to discuss, and you maybe want
I
some
think
advice,
you need to air out some of your dirty
feel free.
laundry because it's stay.
feel free to leave suggestions, comments. If you like the video, go ahead and watch some more. We're going to keep trying to create them, keep trying to keep them coming. But that's it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for watching.
Adios.